Is it possible to navigate the economy with all the detailed statistics, misinformation, and media hype? We'll keep you up to date by decoding the mainstream headlines. Stay tuned. It's in your prime interest. A whole new level of political discontent was displayed this weekend in Washington, D.C. On Sunday, thousands of veterans from across the United States led a pilgrimage to the World War II Memorial on the National Mall. Janet Yellen is the first major executive branch nominee to be confirmed since the upper chamber's confirmation rules have been changed. What, you don't go around with helicopter money? That was his actual defense. Oddly, he made no comments on Cyprus. Mel Watt is a representative from North Carolina and spent the past 20 years on the Financial Services Committee. But he's also the same politician who made this interesting comment about derivatives. Take a listen.
A lot of these arguments that I'm hearing today are the same arguments that I heard about derivatives. Well, I didn't know a damn thing about derivatives. I'm still not sure I do.
So let me get this straight. Obama believes the right person to wind down trillions of dollars of derivatives at Fannie and Freddie is someone who spent 20 years on the Financial Services Committee and doesn't understand derivatives. Looks like Mel Watt gets the better bargain on that one. Ironically, the CFPB architects are swinging through the revolving door and are alleged to be profiting from the protection laws they wrote. Despite the House and Senate both passing separate budgets, we still don't have an agreed-upon one or several key measures, including a farm bill, a permanent doc fix to Medicare, and 14 of the 18 key appropriations bills. In the past, these have been nonpartisan measures. But some people prefer their Congress doing nothing, including Representative Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, who I spoke with earlier this week.
Well, some people say that we do our best work when we don't pass any more laws and we don't pass any more regulations and we don't hike anybody's taxes.
Our government says if you meet these criteria, such as having a camera near a point of interest, like to pay in cash, has more than 7 days worth of food, you are a terrorist suspect.
All right.
That's pretty scary.
Do you think we should look like terrorist suspects?
I mean, it kind of seems like you guys fit the criteria. Does this sound like we should be concerned?
What, being a terrorist suspect?
Right, this is the criteria.
I'm too old for that.
Day 2 of LPAC. It has been a jam-packed day of breakout sessions, activist training sessions, as well as featured speakers from all across the nation. But the theme that keeps being repeated is that this is a place for like-minded people to relax. And like-minded meaning people who are united on this message of liberty. So what would you do if your girlfriend faked her pregnancy?
I'd probably break up with her.
What if you didn't know it was fake, if she provided a real positive pregnancy test, but it wasn't hers?
I would sue her and get my money back. And then I'd break up with her and then hook up with her sister.
I'm speechless.
I've actually had this experience before. It's very upsetting.
If your girlfriend shows you a fake pregnancy test, do you think you would fall for this and propose?
Yeah, probably.
When we see this transfer of gold, where do you think it's going to go?
I think it's going from the west to the east, from the debtors to the creditors, and that's a shift of wealth.
Not everyone thinks this bond buying program will be beneficial in the long run, however.
Ironically, this is the greatest engine of reverse income distribution ever imagined. It's kind of an inverse Robin Hood policy.
And tell me who's benefiting from QE.
It's basically the 1%.
Carrie Ann, FreedomWorks is an organization that has just released 10 reasons to abolish the Fed. Can you go over a few of the reasons why they're advocating for an alternative here?
Yeah, one of the biggest reasons is they believe it's unconstitutional. The power to coin money in the Constitution was clearly stipulated to be delegated to Congress. That would be overseen by 535 members. That's now been delegated to a board of a very select few, which are not elected by the people. That's another reason, is that these are unaccountable, unelected bureaucrats that are basically responsible to nobody. Also because it's very secretive, which we're talking about. The Federal Reserve has never been fully audited by an outside source. The GAO, which is another part of the government, has looked into its book some, but there's still so much about the Fed that we don't know. So because it's unaccountable, unelected unofficials, and it's so secret, that's why they just want to do away with it.
Was it Ron Paul that was actually pushing for an audit?
Right.
Where does that stand?
Well, Ron Paul is no longer in Congress. He retired last year. So in the House, we have Paul Brown, who was pushing that bill, and then we also have Senator Rand Paul, who's pushing it in the Senate. And he has said that he is going to hold up Janet Yellen's nomination, who's been asked to head the Fed when Bernanke steps down next year. And he's going to hold her nomination until that bill is brought to the floor. So there's a lot of debate around this right now, and it looks like that vote will come up early in January. So we'll see very soon where that's going to go. We are here now at the World War II Memorial. An honor flight just took place with Congressman Louis Gohmert. And truckers were supposed to be here to give their list of demands to members of Congress, but they didn't show up. Traffic was so bad they could not get here. But it's at the World War II Memorial where the last straw was broken for the truckers. The Obama administration closed the World War II Memorial on October 1st. However, just a couple feet away from here is the National Mall. And on Tuesday of this week, the administration allowed for a protest to take place for immigration reform. To put bluntly, Obama allowed for illegal immigrants to enter the National Mall while closing this memorial that was built with private funds to honor veterans. This has caused a lot of anger around the country. Here's what Representative Louis Gohmert told me.
I've never seen so many Park Service personnel out here at the Lincoln Memorial. You move a barricade and you get more Park Service people than I've ever seen in the whole mall.
We are about halfway to the next presidential election, and there is widespread frustration within our two-party system. A recent poll from Gallup shows that 60% of Americans say the Democratic and Republican parties do such a poor job of representing the American people that a third major party is needed. And as Americans watch the two-party run government clash to the point of paralysis earlier this month, some are speculating a third-party candidate could rise in 2016. I asked Gary Johnson what this would take.
$1 billion.
He also said it would take someone who has celebrity status to win the popular vote. So I asked a few celebrities what they think of this.
There is a split in the Republican Party, and that's not a good thing.
Do you think this is going to lead to a third party emerging into 2016?
No, I don't think so. I think the Republican Party will ultimately get together. They'll unify behind somebody.
And are there any third party candidates that are popping up on your radar?
No, I don't see any.
Okay, so Donald Trump isn't firing the two-party system. But would a third party win Ben Stein's vote?
If I may say so, the whole idea of a third-party candidate winning or being in any way meaningful is so far-fetched that I just can't see it.
But what about Republican Senators Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, who already have national attention and angered their party's establishment? What if they ran third party?
Rand Paul is a good-looking guy. He has that cute head of hair that he's now calmed down a little bit. I don't think he can win because he's too anti-Israel. That's one thing. And two, Ted Cruz is a likable, intelligent guy, Supreme Court clerk, smart guy, but I don't think he has the charisma to win.
But Cruz might have the stamina. He gave a 21-hour floor speech against the Affordable Care Act, and since this partisan speech, many have blamed him for the partial government shutdown, and many of his Republican colleagues have distanced themselves from him. So the big question is Ted Cruz planning to run third party in 2016?
I am not a believer in third parties. I think we need to get the Republican Party back to our core principles, back to the principles this party was founded on when it was the party of Lincoln, when it was the party of Reagan, and that's our path to victory.
But the former Libertarian presidential nominee says otherwise.
Republicans protect people that have money. That's their notion of free enterprise. And Democrats, like I say, they're just horrible on issues of civil liberties.
Third-party candidates hit new milestones in 2012 when they held their first ever presidential national debate. Come 2016, third-party candidates might be heard, and this time they might be a little louder.
No idea that it was going to go viral. We just did it.
Meet Steve Burke. The 32-year-old Miami Beach mayoral candidate is looking to reform his city.
You see, Miami Beach happens to be one of the most corrupt cities in America.
This tropical paradise has been plagued with corruption and police misconduct scandals that have gained national attention. Steve is running on a platform of transparency to bring fiscal responsibility to City Hall. To put an end to law enforcement brutality, he plans to implement an independent police review and disciplinary board. He also wants to decriminalize marijuana, which would save the city $3 million a year. The Miami Beach mayor election is nonpartisan. However, Steve has created a political party of his own.
I'm trying to come up with a new party. It's called the After Party, and it's a party specifically designed for young and disenfranchised voters. And if we can actually get elected, we can make some serious change.
His politics are offbeat, but his means of communicating them are spoken in tempo. He is most recognized for his rap videos, one of which he advocates for ending the war on drugs.
What you know about the science of marijuana? What you know about people suffering from glaucoma? They need it, it helps them with their condition. If you don't believe me, then just ask some eye physicians. Thank your granddad for voting for that.
After suffering from a back injury during his professional tennis career, he turned to medicinal marijuana as a natural alternative to prescription drugs for treatment. Don't like his politics? He'll challenge anyone to a game of tennis for their vote.
I hope I get your vote. If not, let's play. Let's get on the court. Come on. Come on. 3 out of 5 points.
But I need your vote.
And if he can't reach voters through rap, recreation, or reefer, he hangs out with his wing out on the nude beach too.
Why? Because making people vote too.
His biggest opponent is Philip Levine, a multi-millionaire businessman who's endorsed by former U.S. President Bill Clinton. Steve says he's in the pocket of corporate thugs. Levine has spent at least $1.2 million of his own money on his campaign for a seat that only pays $10,000. He has outspent Burke 100 to 1, but they're nearly tied in the polls. I spoke to some residents and asked them who they think is the best candidate to clean up the city.
Burke, of course.
Steve Burke, if he was my son, I'd say, oh, you're adorable, you're headed toward the comedy circuit. He has absolutely no interest in being mayor.
A lot of people think, like, my vote doesn't even matter anyways, and so they don't vote.
What did you say? No. Who should I vote for? Really? They're all corrupt? She says no.
You're not going to vote at all?
No, she says they're all corrupt.
The young people are infatuated with him. However, this demographic is so disenfranchised by the political system that very few vote in Miami Beach elections. Burke even has trouble getting his best friends to vote.
Are you going to vote on Tuesday or not? I'm going to check on Wednesday and see if you voted. If you didn't vote, I'm going to kick you in the nuts.
Levine has painted Burke as a comedian who just wants to be famous. However, Burke is no stranger to business. He's proposed building a Skyline cable car called the Skylink as a solution to the city's traffic problems. This project has even caught the attention of Virgin CEO Sir Richard Branson, who's interested in sponsoring it. And of course, Steve has a song for this too.
Girl, I'm gonna take you on the Skylink. Head over the bay and get to Sobe in an eye blink. High up in the sky, you looking fly. I ain't no player. I treat you well. My name is Burke. Vote me for mayor.
The Miami Beach mayor election is about challenging the status quo. Steve Burke is one of the most alternative candidates we've seen, but he lacks some of the resources as his opponents. Is Miami Beach ready for this change? Election day is November 5th. Miami Beach, Florida, Perry Ann Boring, RT.